boys and girls, welcome to my channel, I'm ForClassic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in here is Valorant, a game developed by Riot Games, the same developers behind League of Legends, that insane multiplayer game that got millions of players. It seems like Valorant, it is going to follow the same footsteps, despite the game it is different. It is now making a huge success. So let's take a look on the settings for the GT 740M, which is pretty much the same as a GT 920M. And as you could saw, I'm running the game with my native resolution, which is 1366 by 768. And I'm using low settings with 4 times anisotropic filtering. So this is pretty much the recommended settings, so that's what you really need to play at 60 frames per second, and that's exactly what I got. I got an average of 77 frames per second with a maximum frame rate of 126, although there were some occasional dips that kind of pushed down a little bit the frame rate to 44 frames per second. What I did felt is that my CPU was bottlenecking the GT 740M at low settings, which means that if you have a better CPU than what I have in here, the low settings will end up performing much better. Medium settings, the average it is below 60 frames per second. It is still playable, but Valorant, it is an insanely competitive game, and you might want to have as much frame rate as possible, especially above 60 frames per second. So my personal suggestion for this game, it is really to play with low settings, which is not really bad because the difference in graphics between the low settings, the medium, or even the high settings aren't really that huge, because this game was created, at least with the graphical settings in mind, that the graphic settings would be very similar. I mean, the visuals to be very similar between each setting, because these guys don't want you to have an advantage or a non-advantage over other players with the graphical settings, because in the past, for example, with Call of Duty games, you were able to reduce the draw distance of the grass or even removing the grass by playing at the lowest settings. Today, that it is not possible on Call of Duty, the newest one, the Warzone. But this game, it is pretty much also the same. So whatever you mess around with the settings, whatever if you play with maximum or the minimum, the game visuals will look very familiar or very similar. And there is no advantage for players that play with low settings or high settings aside from the frame rate difference. Alright, so what I want to say is that even at playing with low settings and with this resolution, you will be fine visually, and honestly, this is a competitive game. I don't think that anyone it is interested in graphics in this game, alright? But overall, what you need to know is that you can play this game above 60 frames per second most of the time. There are some occasional dips, yes, and it is most of the time relatable with the CPU, alright? So like I told you before, if you have a better CPU than what I have in here, the game will end up performing much better on low settings, although on medium settings, whatever, if you have a better CPU or not, the performance will be with averages below 60 frames per second. So my recommendation, it is really for you to stick up with the low settings. If you have a 1080p screen, just forget about it, just use 720p, alright? Or anything like it. But overall, that's it. As for Valorant, what is this game? This game, it is pretty much a merge between CSGO and Overwatch. I'm actually an old fan of CSGO. I don't play too much today, but I did play pretty much 1000 hours of CSGO in the past. Despite I wasn't really a great player, that was a game where I did spend a lot of time, especially when I was young. And I had the time to play every day with my friends and colleagues of school. But things change, you know, and you start to not have time for that. But CS 1.6, CS Source and CSGO took a big part of my entire life. While Overwatch, it is not really my cup of tea, I do think that this game, it is pretty good. And bottom of the line, this game, it is free to play, so you don't need to pay anything about this game. And even the best part of this game being free to play is the fact that all the paid stuff in this game are just cosmetics. So if you spend money on this game, you are not going to get any advantage over any other player, because the only advantage we will have above the other players will be just the standing out cosmetics, which will make you look different or anything like it. There is no advantage in better weapons or more damage or more armor or anything like it. No, there is no advantage even if you pay. So this is really good, and this is what it is, a good free-to-play game, just like Call of Duty Warzone or the ancient League of Legends. Alright, so guys, I think that's all that I want to talk about Valorant. In case you have any question about this video or the settings or the performance, just leave on the comment section of the video. So thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
The hunt begins!
Last player standing.
Spike planted.
Switching sides.
Enemy spotted.
Get out of my way!
Careful now.
Spike planted.
Going up.
I see someone.
One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
Don't interrupt. My ultimate is ready.
Reloading. Enemy spotted.
I see someone. Where is everyone hiding?
Careful.
Spike planted.
See ya.
One enemy remaining.
I see someone.
Get out of my way!
Last player standing. Clutch. Match point.
In the wild, fire means life. You be our fire, Phoenix.
Who will see better, Amir?
There they are.
The hunt begins!
Spike planted.
Prepare for hellfire!
One enemy remaining.
Careful now.
Did you really expect that to work?
Going up.
Sudden death.
Let's close up shop. I have things to do.
Protect our motherland.
Last player standing.
Ready.
Spike planted. Attackers win.